Hi, it's Kelly from Simple Life Mom, and I wanted to show you what happens sometimes when you make soap. You can see how what we made here, it's a great wake me up bar and had nice green swirls through it. But hopefully you can see how it's got this white on the edges. And a lot of times when you're making soap, if you don't cover it, you'll have ash that develops on the top. But this was fully covered. And it's not just on top, it's all the way down through. And it develops very chalky kind of thing to it. So it just crumbles. So it's very disappointing, but as you should know, with soap, you can always fix it. So with this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna hot process it. Right here, this is a little bit lye heavy. I think there was two issues. Slightly lye heavy. If it was really lye heavy, then it would be white all the way through and not have any of this right here. Most of the white is around the edges. You can kind of see right here, hopefully, that we have some nice coloring right here and good texture, but all here is white. So what happens, I think, as well as being a little bit lye heavy, is that this one wasn't incubated very well. Made this at my homeschool co-op, and then afterwards there was a lot of moving around and it never was incubated very well within the first, goodness, 7-8 hours. So it was incubated well overnight, but it cooled off way too fast. So what we're going to do is we're going to hot process this. We're going to put it in a crock pot and add a couple little extra things just to make sure the texture turns out perfect afterwards. Okay, I've put it into the crock pot, as you can see, and right now I am going to turn it on the lowest setting possible. Some crock pots don't go very low, so you want to be very careful, know your crock pot before you do it in this. Otherwise, I broke them up into smaller chunks, and this is only half the batch because it was actually a very large batch. So right now, I'm just going to let it get going. I'm going to put the lid on it, and I'll show you in a minute what it starts to look like. Okay, I wanted to show you the next stage in this process. You can hopefully see how it's just basically melting. That's all we're getting right now. It'll come slowly like chunky mashed potatoes. But that's good. The half a cup of water that I put in is still sitting a little bit at the bottom. You can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stir this and incorporate that a little bit better. And then I'll let it keep going. This is just the beginning, so we want to definitely keep it going. A lot of times you'll see that around the edges is where everything will start to melt, of course, because it's hotter there. So you just want to give that a little bit of stir and keep an eye on it. You don't have to stand over it and watch it the entire time, but just check it like every 10 minutes or so. All right, I gave it a really good stir, and you can see it's a lot better incorporated. There's still chunks. It's definitely not ready yet. We want to keep it going. You'll see it start to get a little translucent, and that's what you want. Just for clarification, again, this is for a batch that is lye heavy. That is the only reason I added a little bit more water, and we're cooking it down and stuff. If you have a batch that turns out perfect, but you still want to hot process it so that you are able to use it right away, then that is, you won't add any water. You will just go ahead and put it in your crock pot and just turn it on low heat and let it go. And you want to watch for it to melt and then become translucent. Well, that's if you've let it set for 24 hours and then you've cut it up and then you're doing it. You can wait till you get to trace and put it straight into the crock pot. Then you'll also see it's nice and liquefied already, but then you also see it start to bubble around the edges, and then it'll start to get translucent. That's what we're looking for, which I'll show you in just a couple minutes. Well, couple minutes for me, instantaneously for you. Okay, it's now dark, so my lighting's a bit different, but hopefully you can see really well how this has a glossy look to it. There's some of my green that was mixed in. My beautiful swirls. Oh well. So anyway, it's kind of like mashed potatoes. Once it's all this different consistency, and like I said, it's glossy, it's ready. And so this has been going for about 2 to 3 hours. So not too bad. And what I'm going to do is put it in the mold, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in just a second. Here it is in my mold. It's a larger mold. It's meant for the full batch. And so what I'm going to do is actually, I have a piece that I can put in here until I get the other half of it done to put in there. And so you just kind of slop it in there like mashed potatoes. Notice I did not scrape the edges there. If you do that, you're going to have white pieces that kind of look like plastic. They're just a different texture. It's soap, but it's just your preference. You can scrape it all in there if you want, but you'll have different pieces kind of mixed in that look a little different than the rest of it. So anyway, once you get it in there, you want to pat it down, and sometimes it cools really quickly and you have to work fast. This stuff's still really hot, but you want to get it in all the corners. And right now, you could add texture by doing different things to it. Those soaps that you've seen that have swirls on the top or whatever, they've been hot processed, and not all of them. Sometimes you can wait till your cold processed soap is super thick, and then you can do that and get a little bit of that. But anyway, so you could mess with it, do what you want, and you let it cool, and that's it. Once it is cool, you can go ahead and slice it, and then you can use it right away. You do want to let it sit for a little while. I still like to let mine sit for a week or so, because that will help it to get hard. The bars last longer that way. So anyway, this is Simple Life Mom, and hopefully that helps you understand a little bit more about hot processing. Any questions, please let me know, and stop over at simplelifemom.com. Thanks. All right, last thing. Here's your final product. I'm laughing because there's a giant cricket that's right next to me singing away. Anyway, so you can see it's a little chunky on top, and I kind of smoothed it away this way and ended up like this. Beautiful bars, already get nice and hard, and it hasn't even been 24 hours since I took them out. So hopefully that's self-explanatory. Any help needed? Just let me know.